Hello everyone! Before this video starts, I just want to give you guys a warning that this is going to be a bit different from my usual videos. This is about Audio, the Norwegian speaker company with a very different approach. So instead of a full manufacturing deep dive, this is going to go into the people, the philosophies, and the ideas behind their designs. Jonathan!
Jana, thanks for coming. As I said, you had to see it in our way if you were to come. Because it's not about speakers. It's about understanding where we are from and why we do what we do. So Jana, welcome to Audio HQ. Before we move on, let's sit down.
Yeah. Within the last year, I've been hearing so much commotion about audio and these crazy Vikings who are just exploding the world of high-end audio. You have the Icon, the Frigg, and the Verdande. I want to learn a little bit about who you guys are, how this all started, and where you're going.
I think for you to understand audio, you will need to look past the fact that a lot of people think that we hit the ground running. We've been running fast for at least the last couple of years. It all made sense when I met Sveinung. We're very closely intertwined. So Sveinung, of course, is on top of the design and the technical solution. I'm not someone who's digging deep into the design. And when we go deep into actually how it should work as a whole package, we're very closely intertwined. And it's that constant back and forward, sparring, really low bar, begging for, if I'm an idiot, tell me, right? We have a good time with it. So if someone done something in the field, we want to not necessarily go and prove them wrong, but we want to prove ourselves that, okay, we took on this challenge, and in our view and in our world, we took it as far as we thought it could be.
On the way in here, I couldn't help but notice that phrase or that slogan that you have on the wall.
I think we have that area in the office where we get our creativity out. And it says, make it sound good, then forget about it and focus about all the other details. Because of course the sound and how it connects with you, it's what it's ultimately all about. If we do everything right, except the sound, people are still gonna have a good experience. If the sound's also good, well, then the deal is sealed.
And what are these other details that you're talking about?
You have all these questions. And as I said, when you're gonna come here, we have to show you in our way. So
we're in an anechoic chamber now?
This is where we separate facts from fiction. So when we say a speaker is 94 dB, it's because we measure it right here. Time and time again until we're spot on.
So next I wanted to ask you about the development and the whole design process really of the Verdande.
This is Seas, which have been around in the business for a long time, making one of the better loudspeaker drivers around.
Yeah, since 1950, right?
For over 75 years.
That is such a long time. I mean, in our industry, in the high-end audio industry, everybody knows Seas because they make so many drivers for so many manufacturers that are well-known and loved.
You can kind of say that this has been the birthplace of something new. When two powerhouses hit their heads together, Seas and Audio, we created together something called Norwegian sounds.
Norwegian sounds. So, I mean, we don't often think about Norwegian sound and Norwegian hi-fi manufacturers because there aren't so many that come to mind, at least for me. So roughly how far are we right now from the audio factory?
Well, you can go in for a long and very cold fjord swim. That will be long travel, but if you're in a car, you'll do it in about 40 minutes. So we are pretty close to Seas.
That's not so far. Does that mean that you do a lot of stuff with Seas? Like, do they make all of your drivers or just for the Frigg?
There's no one better to explain you that than Sveinung.
Hi, Jana.
Hi.
So come with me and I will show you.
Okay. Wow.
So, now I'm going to show you what is inside our speakers and what our technology is about.
So before you start, just for any non-audiophiles who are watching this video, can you start by explaining what everything is, please?
Today we have 3 speaker models. We have the Frigg, which is the newest one. It's a 3-way construction with 3 drivers, and it's a kind of a bit more traditional design. The 2 bigger ones are the Icon. That is a 2-way construction with a bigger woofer and a horn, which have a lot of benefits, which I will talk more about when we go deeper into the parts. So here on this table now we have the basic parts of the Verdandi. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about this horn. This is, of course, a big visual part of the speaker, so everyone who has seen the... Oh yeah.
Just kidding. What if I dropped it? No, wow. Yeah, this is substantial.
So this is the raw horn, which we are using in the Verdandi.
And it's interesting, I mean, just seeing you here with the horn, because audio incorporates horns into its design, but you guys aren't exclusively a horn speaker manufacturer.
That's right. We really don't like the typical horn sound, because a lot of these horn speakers, they sound like, they can tend to sound like shoutiness or shouting at you. So that is something we use a lot of time trying to get rid of. That was our problem with the technology before we started investigating into it and getting rid of that problem. This is a horn profile which we have developed from scratch, specifically for use in our loudspeaker. It has to do with the dispersion pattern, how the wavefront of the sound goes after it exits the loudspeaker. And this waveguide or horn, whatever you call it, is a big part of just controlling the waveguide in a nice way so that it doesn't hit sidewalls, ceiling, flooring before it needs to. And it also helps loading the driver, which is fitted on the back here. And yeah, we have this ribbed structure on the back, which helps break up resonances, because this is actually a pretty important part of the cabinet.
And how does directivity impact the listener and their ability to position speakers differently in a room, for example?
That's a good question. Most normal loudspeakers, they have a dome tweeter, and those tend to spread the sound almost 90 degrees to the sides, and it's also narrowing down dependent on frequency. This is controlling the directivity more against the user or the listener.
Yeah, which is useful because a lot of listeners don't have ideal listening rooms.
Yeah, so acoustic treatment is still important, but this is helping a bit.
It's interesting that you describe this shoutiness and all of these negative aspects of the horn sound, because when I first started listening to horn speakers, I was so attracted to the way that they looked. It wasn't until later that I realized, yeah, this is not how things are supposed to sound.
That's quite an interesting point, because it tends to favorize some music, so you're ending up listening to just a few recordings, and some recordings just sound horrible, and we don't like that. So that is one of the things we really test with our loudspeakers. Is all kinds of music, new, old, bad recordings, good recordings, everything. Because everything should sound quite decent, and that is a very important point.
Okay, I'm eyeing, I can't stop looking at this big 15-inch woofer over here, so...
Would you like to hold it?
Oh, is it heavy?
There we go.
Okay, it's heavier than the horn.
Yeah, the real magic is behind here with the motor system. It's one of the most difficult parts of making a 2-way speaker with having this large woofer playing mid-range is to make it play great mid-range. And especially when it also moves a lot playing bass. And that is the key. Inside here, it's a lot of different copper caps and copper in strategically placed positions, which minimizes induction. So this is the titanium former, which transfers the energy from the motor to the cone. And that's also a very important part of why our driver sounds like they do. I will put this down, it's quite heavy. This motor is, one of the unique features of it is the linearity over a wide range of excursion, but the inductance also stay the same. By having those capabilities, this driver sounds exactly the same if you're playing low or loud. And that is a very important point for us, because you really don't want your favorite music to change tone if you turn up the volume.
Yeah.
It should stay the same.
And when it comes to all of this design for the audio loudspeakers, what part does Jonathan play in it?
We work very closely together in a lot of different processes. One of Jonathan's contributions were in the foot for the Verdandi, which is this is loose bolts there.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is
Viking foot.
Massive stainless steel, polished. And we have made it with the tungsten balls, which is here. These are made in tungsten, which is put in each hole. And with this part on the top, it's decoupling the lower part from the upper part. And this was the idea from Jonathan. He have a mechanical engineer backgrounds, so we are a good creative group together.
Okay, so I see some crossovers over here.
This is the tweeter section for the Verdandi. We have separated the woofer section and the tweeter section. The crossover is kind of the brain of the loudspeaker. It controls how the signal goes. After it enters the loudspeaker, it divides the signal to the tweeter and the woofer. And it also controls some of the breakup modes and the drivers to make it sound linear and well-behaved and as we want it to. So this is handmade. We make it on a wood board, hand-soldered, with good quality cables.
And branded capacitors.
Yeah.
I love that.
We tested a whole range of different capacitors, and we decided that we wanted to go our own route and get these capacitors made because they make a huge difference in sonic qualities. So this is a pure copper foil capacitor, and we just really like how it sounds. This is kind of where we come from. It have always been about making very, very good drivers in our way. Low inductance, linear behavior. And when we stepped into the Frigg project, we wanted to do something a bit more traditional. The Frigg is a smaller speaker and there's more traditional drivers. So we went to SEAS. They have no experience making drivers like this, trying to adapt this mindset of making a driver to the more traditional high-end way of doing it. So that was a challenge.
And why was it a challenge?
Well, for a moment there actually, we hit a bit of a wall.
And what do you mean by that? What do you mean by wall?
So when we approached SEAS, we were met with, it's great to work with you guys, you're Norwegian. We would love to finally make that Norwegian sound thing happen. They said they haven't done something that's that customizable before, and we were like, yes, that's what we want. But it's ended up being in a lot of meetings, which at a point seemed to not really lead anywhere. Meaning, we had to go back and ask ourselves, we were too ambitious about this, where we weren't pushing too hard. But compromises were made, and new thinking affected each other. We were affecting each other, pushing the bar together.
Yeah.
And the result talks for itself. So it was fun, but it wasn't just smooth sailing.
We're outside now? Well, are we on a ship?
We're on a Viking ship.
A real Viking ship?
We're on the Osseberg ship, one of the best preserved in the world, actually.
So where are we right now in relation to the Audio HQ?
We are in Tønsberg. Tønsberg is an hour south of Audio HQ. It also happens to be the oldest town in Norway and the last Viking stronghold. And behind you, just over there, is the Castle Mountain, where King Harald Fairhair once reigned.
Is that like King Haraldson from the show Viking?
It's the real guy.
Really?
And up
over
there, Bjorn
Ironside?
Bjorn the real one.
Son of Ragnar Lothbrok?
Bjorn Farmand.
Yeah.
The real guy in the sagas.
Okay.
He was killed by Eric Bloodaxe up there.
What a wild name, Bloodaxe. In audio, as well as in other industries, a lot of brands use Norwegian names and kind of Viking, Norse mythology within their marketing materials. But now from getting to know you and audio a little bit more, I see that it's not just you're from Norway and you're using this Viking stuff and these axes as a marketing facade. It's actually a lot deeper than that.
In a way, this is home, this is identity. Tønsberg is the place where I'm born. It defines how we do things, the way we disrupt, how we constantly push the envelope, and if you picked up anything from Sveinung's part when he explained never settling for good enough. Just like the Yngling once set sail from this exact place to take on what was half the known world at the time. They showed up out of nowhere, but they took their place, and so are we. So when people see that, they start slowly understanding the why, because it's not just about the sound. They see that what's on the table here is something new. It's Norwegian sound, but it's also something we have done since our forefathers, and we're still doing it. Nothing have changed. This is Ølekot.
You brought an axe?
You see the runes here?
Wow.
Ølekot means
Yeah.
the accident to hit you, which was the runes of King Harald's axe. This is a replica of that. But in this case, the runes are ours. They're burn marked in, and it says Veru fjærir eller epter, which means we were, now we're back.
That sounds very audio.
It is.
Now I know where it's coming from. Is this sharp? Can I feel it? Okay. Wow. Do you use this on bad speaker designs or?
Just on competitors.
Okay. You've now told me about how you got here, where you're at right now. What's next? What's in the future for audio?
So we have several different new products in the pipeline, which we are working on. We have some new woofer technology and pushed those specifications quite much further. Then we have the Varg. The Varg were shown in an early prototype in Munich. The final product will look a bit different, but will still have some of the same capabilities, but just better. So that will be something interesting. And I think nobody has seen a 415-inch subwoofer this small.
Okay.
Package, which is actually possible to fit into most living rooms.
And it can defend you against axes and...
In some way, yeah.
What we did know is that it would go that fast. Weekly, we had new countries coming in and wanting to buy our products. In this place, this will be the melting pot for what's to come. And with all the prototypes in the works, we're really pushing the limits, type of stuff gear out. So watch us.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's next.
But Sveinung, I think it's time we show her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. So, Jana, come.
What?
Let us show you something.
We've been speaking a lot about the why here, but we actually prepared something just for you. So go and check it out for yourself.
Okay, thank you. Hey.
So how was it?
I feel like I've really been on a journey. This was not like my typical manufacturer visit. Typically, when I visit a manufacturer, a lot of the focus is on how they make products, but it's never been the case that I've visited a manufacturer and we've actually focused more on why they do the things that they do. I don't know what to make of it. It was crazy. When I met Jonathan and Sveinung back in April, I just see this like tall Viking guy with a big axe, you know, walking around the hi-fi show. Like, who does this guy think he is? Now, after coming here, after going to the Viking village and holding an axe and being in a Viking ship, like an actual Viking ship, and going to Seas, I mean, it's Seas, like, being an audiophile, visiting Seas has been a dream of mine. That's like a bucket list place. Just having the full experience, now I realize that it's not just this shallow marketing ploy. It's actually, these guys are Norwegians. This is Norwegian sound. They have a Norwegian partner with Seas. And this is who they actually are. And now after listening, I just feel like I think I understand.